Scotland survive a second half comeback to kick off the Six Nations with a win. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Scotland got a really fast start to this one. They're attacking early after Darge was able to turn the ball over for them. Van der Merwe gets a run down the left wing into the 22. They then go to the forwards, carrying Wells, the likes of Schoeman in there. Really tough guy to put down. Then Russell goes for a wide pass, but goes a bit, gives it a bit too much, and it goes over Kinghorn there. We can see they created space. Back we come for a penalty. Cherry taps it. They attack the line again. Russell almost puts someone through a gap, and then after a couple of recycles over Rory Darge barges, and really battles to get the ball down on the line. Russell adds the extras for 7 points to 0. Then we have a lovely wraparound move from Scotland, and it gets Van der Merwe free on the wing. He passes the ball back inside for Hugh Jones. Tallon gets the hand to it, but it doesn't matter. It goes, drops to Jones anyway, and he's able to score. Converted for 14-0, and real blitz of a start from Scotland, 14-0 up within, I think it was like 9 minutes. Italy then trying to get a foothold in the game. They're getting Menoncello on the ball, but Scotland, especially Darge, very aggressive at the breakdown. Italy moving the ball into Scotland half. Scotland are offside, so they decide that they're going to kick for the post. Allen pops it over 14 points to 3. And it definitely was Allen, despite the stadium announcer claiming that it was Garbisi. Darcy Graham then almost gets isolated, and Scotland have to go off their feet to prevent that. But they concede a penalty. Allen lands this one too for 14 points to 6. Stadium announcer now is on board with who's actually taking the kicks for Italy. Van der Merwe in space charges into 22, offload to Kinghorn. He's hauled down. They go in field, and Russell spots a gap, goes for it, but he spills the ball in contact. Scotland are stretching that Italian defence, and there's hands on the ground from them. A little while later, Russell puts a penalty into the corner. Scotland just interested in tries. They want to get to that bonus point. Italy hold them all up initially, but then Cherry goes off the back, and he puts White over to score in the corner. What an offload from Cherry as well. If you haven't seen that, definitely check out the highlights or just a replay of his offload. It was, you'd expect maybe Russell or like a DuPont to be giving it. So fair play to Dave Cherry for that. Conversions missed, 19 points to 6. And there's a real buzz around Murrayfield now. Real optimism in the Scottish crowd. Italy looking to move it from a line out, but Capuozzo knocks on. Scotland then hack the ball on. Garbisi gets the ball first. He's right next to the post, and then he collects Stafford McDowell just after getting the ball himself. He kind of holds him up a little bit and then forces him over his own line. 5-metre scrum to Scotland. Ferguson off the back of the scrum, stopped on the gain line, recycle a few times before Garbisi manages to get over the ball to win the penalty. Italy then, they win a scrum penalty, and Allen calls for the tee. And this one is on a little bit of an angle. The other two kicks were pretty much straight in front, although at varying distances. He lands that for 19 points to 9, and that was a halftime score. Into the second half then, lovely hands from the forwards allow Schoeman to break to the edge of the 22. Russell then gives a quick inside ball that, if Darcy Graham had been able to hold on to it, he would have been in under the post. But he knocks it on. Lamro then stops Ferguson, and Menoncello gets over the ball to win a penalty. Allen makes it 19 points to 12, and Italy just holding in there, haven't really gotten their attack going all that much at this stage. We then have a bit of a kicking duel. Graham gets up there, taps the ball back for Scotland. They look to move it right to left, where they definitely have numbers out on the left, out wide. Russell goes for a long pass, but it gets picked off by Brex, and he just races away under the post. Allen converts, and now we're tied up at 19 points all. Italy then off feet in the 22, right in front of the post. Penalty to Scotland. They decide, no, we're going for the corner. were one try away from the bonus point, and they're looking to kill the game rather than just get themselves back in front. They go to the maul, it goes to ground, and I thought a lot of Scotland mauls they were kind of falling over themselves really, and it was kind of a little bit strange from their point of view. There wouldn't be that many Italian defenders, but it still go to ground. I'm sure some expert will be able to point out where actually Italy caused the good ground. But they decide then to go to one out runners, moving it inside. Those ones where you go ruck, and getting closer and closer to the post. Then Fischetti gets over the ball and turns it over. Italy then, for a second they think about maybe running it, but they just a huge boot kicks it clear. Canoni then with a late hit on Russell, and that was a real momentum swing in the game at that point, because I think we were on knock-on advantage to Italy at that stage, and they would have had a scrum round about halfway, but instead, because of the late hit, the Scotland get to go up the line just outside the 22. They then move the ball to Graham on the wing, and sorry, there was one before that. I kind of skipped a bit, I think. Yeah, they go to the maul from there, and Scotland go up the line from the penalty just to the edge of the 22, move it from the line out, but then Brex counter rucks to allow Fischetti to turn it over. Scotland then under a bit of pressure, as Italy kind of holding onto the ball, pegging them in their own half, but they strike from a scrum just outside their own 22, move the ball to Graham on the wing. He then comes back inside, and just hunting for a gap. When he sees it, then darts through it. Nice feet then to avoid a couple of desperate tackles, draws the cover, and then puts Hugh Jones away to score. Russell converts from 26 points to 19, and the momentum just coming back Scotland's way now. They then come forward again, moving it into 22, and Jones makes a bit of a half break. He's getting close to the line, and he does get tackled, but he's able to stretch out to ground on the line to complete his hat-trick. Converts his missed, 31 points to 19. The momentum then starts swinging back towards Italy. Menoncello with a good bust up the right. Then they work it up to the line on the left-hand side before forcing a penalty for offside. They decide they're going to go to the corner, but when they move it from the line out, they're forced backwards. Jesse then does go through a gap, and they kind of attacked up the blind side because they were going nowhere when they were just kind of putting it through the hands. But then he knocks on just before the line. Italy then win a penalty and kick it right into the corner. It was a super kick. It was one of those ones where if it goes even an extra half a meter, you're coming back for a scrum to Scotland. Rutsa claims the line out. They go through a number of phases before Scotland force a knock-on by Vincent. Scotland then knock their own away, and Italy at this stage, it's the last minute in the game. There's a chance at least to go up the line in search of a possible bonus point, a losing bonus point. They go to one-out runners after the maul, but Scotland managed to turn it over, and that's the game. Full-time, 31 points to 19. So let's have a quick look at the stats, and then we'll talk about each of the teams. Right, so let me pull the stats up here on the official site. Right, so we're going to start with possession. So possession 57 to 43 in favour of Scotland. So much of the ball, and they made you'll see later on, like they were able to make Italy make a lot of tackles, especially in that first half. Territory then 55 to 45. And again, it was probably more skewed in the first half. If we get a half by half, I'm sure we'd see that they were probably in the 60s about possession and territory in that first half. Then on attacking minutes, 21 minutes for Scotland, 15.2 for Italy. Yeah, and Italy, their try came from an intercept, and then when they were in the 22, they kind of lacked, first of all, a little bit of composure, and second, like any kind of cutting edge as well. Scotland were able to, when they moved the ball, kind of rush up and catch them behind the gain line. Tries scored then 5-1 in favour of Scotland. Carries 165 to 95, and then meters carried 1,032 for Scotland and 645 for Italy. So, in terms of meters per carry, just eyeballing it, it looks like maybe, both teams kind of even on meters per carry there. Meters gained then 538 for Scotland and 379 for Italy. Line breaks, 8 for Scotland, 4 for Italy. Defenders beaten 30 to 16. So again, Scotland, the more incisive in attack. Total passes 198 to 143. Offloads 14 to 5. The offload, obviously, of the game was Dave Cherry for that try for Ben White. Handling errors then 19 to 11. And then turnovers conceded 11 each. Okay, now let's go on to kicking. So kicks in play 28 to 27. And very similar numbers to last night between France and Wales. They were both kind of around that number. Kicking meters then 748 for Scotland and 749 for Italy. So Italy actually, just hair's breadth, shading that. Normally with Scotland, we're used to them being kind of in the 900s, or, we've seen games where they've got like 1,100 meters kicked in a game, then the other kicking stats aren't up to date. And I don't know what happens with that. Maybe it's like, after the game, the next day or something, because 50-22 long kicks, short tackle kicks. So they might need a little bit more analysis by whoever is putting the stats together for them. Onto defence then, tackles made 132 to 208. So Italy, about 100 tackles per half. Tackles missed then 16 to 30, which means tackle percentage 89 for Scotland is really good. 87 for Italy isn't bad either. We talk about in the URC always like 85 to 87 is kind of your pass mark. So they did all right in defence, although at times obviously not so good. Onto discipline then, penalties conceded 8 for Scotland and 7 for Italy. So neither team can really you can't kind of berate either team for the penalty count, because generally the aim is let's keep it in single figures, right? And they both did that. Free kicks conceded then 1 to 0. I think that one was by Scotland at a scrum, I'm pretty sure. Offensive penalties conceded then 3 to 2, and defensive penalties 5 each. So both teams conceding more penalties, under pressure on defense. Onto the breakdown then. Rooks won 121 to 73. Rooks lost 5 to 2, and percentage of Rooks 0 to 3 seconds, 52% to 47. So I think I'm right in saying Wales have actually had the fastest Rook speed so far of any of the teams. 4 to 6 seconds then, 34 to 33, and Rooks over 6 seconds, 13 to 20. Breakdown steals then 2 to 4, but the breakdown steals that Scotland got really did kind of strip that momentum from Italy at that time when it was kind of even. Mauls then 5 mauls each, and then 1 that is, and Italy lost to 1 maul as well. Okay, next then onto set piece. So scrums, 5 scrums each. Neither team losing a scrum, but Italy definitely had the nudge on there, and probably they'll be thinking, there were times where they could have gotten penalties at the scrum as well, on a couple of more occasions. Lineouts then 13 each. Lineouts lost won by Italy. Scotland generally have, a very good line out, and proved so again this time. Line out steals, I'm not sure if those numbers are right, but it says 0-all. But we didn't see that much competing, on the opposition's throw. Then kicks at goal. 4 successful penalties for Italy that really did keep them in the game, as we talked about early on. Then conversions 3-1. So Tommaso Allen 100% off the tee, and then missed conversions 2 for Scotland and Russell there as well. Okay, so those are the stats. Now let's just briefly talk about each of the teams. So we start with the winning team, Scotland, or the home team. What a great start for them to the tournament. Certainly wobbled when Italy came back level, but they were able to go again, and that's important, that they were able to kind of reignite themselves. Line out was very good. Scrum did really creak though. Aggressive in defence, some very incisive attacks as well. Strong in the carry. Schumann, both Ferguson's, Darge, all carrying well. Stafford McDowell, I thought, went well in the absence of Tuipulotu. Both wings looking dangerous, coming inside as well, looking for work. Intercept try aside, Russell was very good. Hugh Jones, excellent as well, and a hat-trick for his efforts. Ben White, I thought, went well at 9-2, and let's see if they can have that kind of settled combination with himself and Russell there at half-backs. I think that's important if you're going to have a tilt at the title. Bonus point win in the bag, and now on to Ireland next week for them. So Italy, looked subdued early on. They were very passive in defence. Smart play, though, to take their kicks at goal to stay in the game. Grew into it in the second half. Were definitely more aggressive and quicker off the line in their defence. Had the nudge in the scrum throughout the game. Struggled, though, to get over the gain line on a few occasions. And especially, also struggling to get over the try line when they were right there, But Negri, Canone, and Lamro, I thought were good in the back row. Menoncello and Brex heavily involved from centres. Fischetti, great in the loose, and some good turnovers from him as well. Garbisi went well at 10, and Allen good off the tee as well. Capuozzo not really involved in the game. They did try and get him on the ball, and he'd kind of make a half break, but then he gets swallowed up, and there was no chances for offloads, or they never really created a space that he kind of thrives on. Couldn't get the losers bonus point either. That maybe their second half performance probably deserved. Performed well though in a game that they were expected to lose, and now the thing with them is how will they cope with being favourites against Wales? Okay, so that's the end of this one. Let me know what you think down in the comments.